The NHL season has concluded, but that doesn't mean no hockey videos during the off-season, case in point. Something that Adidas introduced in the 2020-2021 season was reverse retro as the NHL's answer to jersey programs such as Nike's NBA City jerseys. However, with Fanatics taking over NHL jerseys starting in the 2024-2025 season, reverse retro won't be carried over, as if the Fanatics decision by itself wasn't foolish enough to begin with. So, I guess this makes it a better time than never to rank every team's reverse retro jersey. So what is reverse retro? It's more than just throwbacks. Think of it as throwbacks plus. You can have a retro style jersey and have it in a team's modern colors, swap colors out, call back to an alternate jersey from decades ago. The possibilities are endless. We're going to rate all uniforms on a point system. 31 out of the 32 teams have 2 reverse retro jerseys, so a complete success gets 1 whole point. Being iffy gets half of a point, and not liking, obviously, you get 0 points. For our categories, we've got failure for a team that got a 0 out of 2, disappointing for a team that got a 0.5 out of 2, meh for the 1 out of 2s, decent for 1.5 out of 2, and awesome for everyone that's a 2 out of 2. So let's take a look at every NHL team's reverse retro jersey. Chicago Blackhawks. Starting with my hometown team, I absolutely loved the first jersey introduced in 2020, based off their look from 1940. It's the first black jersey used in regular rotation since the regular black jersey's demise in 2009, not counting Winter Classic or Stadium Series games. I have nostalgia for the logo, as this is the same logo on their 2009 Winter Classic jerseys when it came to Wrigley Field. I love the combination of black with red in the right amounts, and it's overall beautiful and gets 1 whole point. Frankly, I should get myself one. Now, the one introduced this past season, what the hell happened? The stripes, well, it's based on their 1938 jersey when stripes were commonplace, but the lack of a logo is a letdown. Yeah, the logo is on top of one of the shoulders, but why not on the front? Why only Chicago in the front? It's always been a logo on the front of Hawks jerseys, and this could have been saved if there was a proper logo on the front. 0 points. Such a shame, but I have to put the Hawks at meh. St. Louis Blues. I know I put their first reverse retro as the Blues' worst on my every NHL team's worst uniforms list, but this is more so weak than bad, if that makes sense. It's a reversal of their road jersey from 1995 to 1998 when the team added red, and here it's all red. It's alright looking, but still feels strange having this be a mainline jersey. This is more along the lines of the Blues having a Cardinals or Chiefs night. I'll still give it half a point. The one introduced this past season is based off of the team's prototype jersey from the 60s, and it does look the part. I don't care too much for it being yellow, but it's a nice looking jersey, so I'll give it a whole point, putting St. Louis at decent. Minnesota Wild. The Wild absolutely loves to push North Star's nostalgia, so logically their first reverse retro is their white jersey but in the North Star's color scheme of Kelly green and yellow. It looks nice, and overall it works seeing Man Bear Pig colored like its predecessor, earning it a whole point. And then the next reverse retro is a colored version of the previous jersey. Makes sense, I guess, though it does make me wonder what they would have done for a reverse retro 3.0 had Adidas held onto the license. I'll still give it a whole point because it works just like the white one, putting the Wild into awesome territory. Nashville Predators. Only having existed since 1998 with no predecessor to homage, the Preds decided to take the styling of their uniforms from 1998 to 2007 before a slight tweak in the 2007-2008 season and make it yellow like the team is now. It looks okay, but it doesn't do much for me because it doesn't look too different from the regular home jersey. Yeah, this uses the original version of the logo with silver on the face, but it's not too dramatic of a change. Oh, but the armbands, still not much of a change. I think I would have been in the ballpark of making this jersey navy blue with perhaps their alternate skull logo or even the one from the early 2000s. I feel Adidas should have gone in another direction, and I won't be giving points to this jersey. Speaking of, their second reverse retro finally does their 2001 to 2007 alternate logo justice. No more mustard yellow. This cool logo is put on proper Preds yellow, and it looks beautiful. This is more dramatic of a change than their previous jersey, and this gets 1 whole point. Sadly, despite that, the Preds only get a meh overall. Dallas Stars. For the styling of this jersey, it began in 1997 on an alternate before becoming the styling for all of their jerseys from 1999 to 2006, and this is meant to celebrate their Stanley Cup win from 1999. I like the green used to outline the full body star, though it's hard reading the name written in silver. It's okay looking, though it looks almost laughable paired with white shorts. I feel this all white thing with the star would work better on a basketball jersey rather than a hockey jersey, which is funny because the star design by itself worked, so unfortunately I won't be giving this any points. The second jersey is meant to homage their look in 1993 when the team moved from Minnesota to Dallas, and I love how this looks. I like the black on the majority of the jersey, and it has the right amount of green on it. It is beautiful and gets a whole point from me, a major improvement over the first. Sadly, because of that first jersey, the Stars only come out with a meh. Colorado Avalanche. The Avs did something that you'll see with other jerseys later on. Of course, the team originated in Quebec City as the Nordiques before moving to Denver in 1995, and thus the Avs took their original French-Canadian look and put it in their own colors, resulting in, frankly, a good-looking jersey. It's not exactly reinventing the wheel, but I like how it looks. 1 whole point. The second one is more creative by comparison, if that's what you're into. We have the styling of their uniforms from their first season in 1995, the Colorado state symbol that we've seen the Avs use before, and the colors of their predecessors, the Colorado Rockies. No, the other Rockies. There you go. Of course, the history of those Rockies belongs to the Devils, but regardless, this gets 1 whole point. And with that, the Avs reverse retro jerseys are awesome. Winnipeg Jets. This one is interesting. Like the Wild with the North Stars, the Jets love pushing nostalgia relating to the original incarnation of the Winnipeg Jets, who of course are now the Coyotes. Their first reverse retro brings back the styling they sported from 1979 to 1990. It sports that styling, except it's in gray, and it actually doesn't look bad. On the ice, it looks pretty good. Would I prefer that they used any of the shades of blue the team currently uses? Yeah, but this still works regardless, and it gets 1 whole point. Comparatively, their second reverse retro brings back the styling from 1990 to 1996 with their current colors, and while it still has that classic Jets logo, it honestly looks blander by comparison. Not as bland as the Stars white reverse retro, as I can actually read the front from a distance, but doesn't quite do it for me. I'll still give it half a point because of the styling, and that puts the Jets up at decent. Arizona Coyotes. Oh, the poor Coyotes. Will it be Houston, Milwaukee, maybe Quebec City? Hell, even Hartford has expressed interest, but let's not dwell on the Coyotes' current situation. In 2021, the Coyotes brought their original look back full-time to possibly drum up nostalgia in Phoenix, and thus their reverse retro jerseys reflect this. Their first jersey takes their green alternate from 1998 to 2003 and colors it purple instead. It looks nice, simple, and straight to the point, getting 1 whole point. The second version is still based on that alternate jersey, except now we've replaced green with sienna orange. It looks okay, but I don't like it as much as the purple version. It still gets half a point, bringing the Coyotes to decent. Too bad the team overall has been anything but. Edmonton Oilers. During the time period where Edmonton donned orange full-time, the Oilers wanted to find a way to celebrate their 80s dynasty, so for their first reverse retro, they flip-flopped the orange and blue on their white jersey. I wish they also did the same thing on the logo, but oh well. It looks good, and I agree with some that say it would have been cool to have this jersey be their full-time road jersey, but I wouldn't say it blows me away. However, I'll still give it half a point. Their second reverse retro is much more up my alley, bringing back the ever-controversial Todd McFarlane oil drop logo and jersey styling, just adding orange on top of it. This is phenomenal. I love it. It gets a whole point and puts the Oilers at decent overall. Calgary Flames. This next take is gonna cause some controversy. For Calgary's first reverse retro jersey, they brought back the flaming horse logo, nicknamed Blasty, that the team had from 1998 to 2006 in one form or another. I swear the hatred for Blasty rivals the Islander fisherman jerseys. There are many people who think it's the worst thing to happen to the Flames uniform lineup ever. Personally, I think it looks cool and appreciate how it references the Calgary Stampede Festival and thus to an extent the Calgary Stampeders. Anyways, it's identical to the original version, just with black trim on the bottom instead of red, and apparently it was popular enough to remain in the team's uniform lineup this past season. season. I like it, and it gets 1 whole point. Their second reverse retro borrows the kind of odd styling of their jerseys from 1995 to 2000 and makes a black version. Dubbed the pedestal jersey, it does look neat, and I think making it black looks stunning. It gets 1 whole point and makes Calgary's reverse retros overall awesome. Vancouver Canucks. There's a missed opportunity with Vancouver, but for now, their first reverse retro takes their red to blue gradient alternate from 2001 to 2006 and replaces red with their current green. It looks pretty nice overall and gets 1 whole point for me. Their second one is kind of odd. Let me explain. This jersey is based on their 1962 look from the WHL days, and it looks alright, but this just might be me, but this almost resembles something Notre Dame would wear. No disrespect to Canucks fans or even this logo, but I would think this was something the Fighting Irish would put out on the ice from how the logo presents itself to the color combination. It's okay, but that aspect bothers me, so I'll split the difference and give this jersey half a point. You know what I'm surprised Adidas didn't tap into? The Flying V, or even after that when Vancouver stuck with black, red, and yellow. Maybe they would have done that for a third reverse retro, I don't know. But regardless, the Canucks' final score lands them indecent. Los Angeles Kings. The Kings, I feel, take full advantage of the whole reverse retro concept. Their first one is really sweet. The styling is that of the Kings uniforms from 1991 to 1998, with their color scheme from 1967 to 1988 when they were the Lakers of the NHL. Seeing this jersey in purple and yellow looks incredibly awesome, and I love it. Easily 1 whole point. The second one is an interesting concept. The Lakers debuted purple and yellow the same year the Kings came into existence, but neither team donned a white jersey while both shared an identical color scheme. The Lakers gained a white jersey in 2002 to wear on Sundays, and by then the Kings had long changed color schemes, so no white version of that 1967 to 1988 jersey until now. It's a nice what if, and certainly has both complementary colors looking superb on it. This is another whole point and an overall rating of awesome. Anaheim Ducks. I was kind of surprised how many people liked the Ducks' old Wild Wing jersey from the 90s, as if there wasn't an equal amount bashing their current jerseys. Their first reverse retro is essentially a white version of the Wild Wing jersey, and even despite its inherent goofiness, this does the job. I'd be lying if I didn't say I at least had a soft spot for this style of Ducks jersey, and earns 1 whole point from me. Their second one is essentially their old white home jersey, except in the team's current color scheme. I surprisingly like this one more than the Oilers' similar attempt because due to some nostalgia for the logo, though mostly because the Ducks jerseys have had more dramatic changes than compared to the Oilers. And thus, this gets a whole point from me and puts the Ducks in awesome. San Jose Sharks. The Sharks are a tale of good ideas with questionable executions. Their first reverse retro brings back the styling that their jerseys had from 1997 to 2007, starting out as an alternate before becoming the main uniform in 1998. It looks alright being worn on the ice, but I wish this was black instead. Yes, the Sharks had a black jersey to go along with the original iteration of this style, but that black jersey featured different styling than the home and road jerseys. Seems like a missed opportunity. I'm sorry, but I just prefer black over gray. I'll still give it half a point for looking good in play at least. For their second, I like the idea of having a jersey that pays tribute to their Bay Area predecessor, the California Golden Seals. However, I still think it's kind of ugly. I get why they didn't use the Seals jersey that sports the logo. However, they could have taken inspiration from Minnesota and had the Sharks' white jersey sport the Seals' shades of green and yellow. I assume they went with the 70s iteration of the Seals colors rather than the athletic shades due to, again, Minnesota. Just anything better than this. I'm still not a fan of it, and thus no points. Sorry Sharks, but you're disappointing. Vegas Golden Knights. Gary Bettman must have been really happy seeing his favorite team win a cup. Had to get that out of my system. Since the Golden Knights have only existed for 6 years now, Adidas had to go back to Las Vegas minor league hockey with a sprinkle of 2000s design. I mentioned in every NHL team's worst uniform that using an alternate logo is a 2000s move, and I still stand by that. This is something we simply don't see anymore. It seemed like the Knights were trying to make blanket jersey that asks, what if Vegas existed in the 2000s? What I failed to mention was that the styling was done as a tribute to the IHL's Las Vegas Thunder, while having red as the main color because not only is it in the Knights color scheme, but also pays tribute to the ECHL's Las Vegas Wranglers. Tangent aside, I'm still not the biggest fan of it, and I still think it looks like Vegas trying to put on a Blackhawks cosplay. I'll still give it half a point for all the references it crams in at least. Their second reverse retro is definitely superior and has a 90s look to it. The letters are done in the font of the Excalibur Hotel, while the number font is that of the now demolished Stardust Hotel, because of course it is. I'm half surprised MGM Anything didn't make an appearance. It does get 1 whole point though, placing the G Knights at decent. Seattle Kraken. This is the one exception to the criteria for this list, as the Kraken have only existed long enough for 1 reverse retro jersey. This jersey on first glance looks like a typical alternate in the Kraken's teal color. However, the styling is meant to homage the 1951 Seattle Ironmen of the PCHL. It's still nice, if anything but mind-blowing. I'll still give it a point and an awesome ranking. Too bad we'll never get another shot at Kraken Reverse Retro 3.0. Or is it 2.0 since whatever. New York Rangers. Like the Coyotes, both of the Rangers Reverse Retro jerseys are based on the same jersey. In this case, it's the Rangers Statue of Liberty alternate from 1996 to 2007. The first one essentially takes the original and removes the red, though it still looks good regardless. I love the shade of navy blue, and I think it scores 1 whole point for me. The second one is not a white version of this jersey, although that did also exist in the late 90s, but the shades of blue and red used are the same as on their regular uniforms. It absolutely works, and again, another whole point. And with that, the Rangers are a total success and awesome. New York Islanders. NHLuniforms.com describes the Isles' first reverse retro jersey as lazy, and who could blame them? Essentially, the Islanders took their 1979 to 1980 uniform, replaced the royal blue with their early 2000s navy blue, and swapped the placement of the orange and white stripes. It doesn't look bad per se, but who cares? No points. On the other hand, there was some creative thought put into their second reverse retro, basing it off of their mid-90s fisherman jerseys. Easily the most hated uniforms of my generation. There's no teal like on the original, and no bottom wave stripes, perhaps in an attempt to make this uniform style a little more normal and easier to swallow. No wavy numbers or nameplate either, as if someone ironed the original jersey out. I still like this because there's a part of me that always found the fisherman jersey kind of cool despite the hate it gets, which is why I'm giving it 1 whole point. Unfortunately, the Isles come out to a meh. New Jersey Devils. Ever since moving to New Jersey in 1982, the Devils haven't changed their uniforms that much, but still managed to come up with interesting ideas. Their first reverse retro brings back the green that they had from 1982 to 1992 and colored the whole jersey green. It looks pretty cool, even if the color combo automatically screams Christmas. It still gets 1 whole point. Their second reverse retro colors their white jersey with the red, yellow, and navy blue scheme of their pre-New Jersey days, that being as the Kansas City Scouts and Colorado Rockies. It looks underwhelming, frankly, especially when compared to the Avs reverse retro, which pays tribute to the Rockies that came out this same year. Both white jerseys, by the way. I think it would have been in the ballpark of coloring one of these jerseys in blue if you're gonna have 2 teams reference the exact same thing. And especially compared to the Avs version, this is inferior. I'll give it half a point for a heritage callback and straying away from the Devils color schemes, but it could have been better. Overall, the Devils have been decent. Philadelphia Flyers. Get ready to be underwhelmed. The Flyers' first reverse retro takes their orange jersey from 1982 to 2007 and swaps the black and white sections. It looks okay, but nothing about this feels special. Like the first Islanders one, no points. The second reverse retro, we take it back to 1982 again, and we've swapped where black and orange are placed. They brought the Cooperalls back for this, but only for pregame warm-ups. This gets a 0 from me, giving the Flyers an overall rating of failure, our first thus far. You know what they could have done? Take their uniform style from 1973 to 1975 and make a black version, and yet we never got a reference to that era, because you know, it's not like something phenomenal happened to Philly during that time frame. Pittsburgh Penguins. Both of the Penguins reverse retros feature canceled concepts that I feel work. Their first is a white version of the diagonal wordmark jersey they had from 1992 to 1997, and I think it looks cool. Some people might not be into this style of pen Pens jersey, but I still think it deserves 1 whole point. The second reverse retro debuts the ever-divisive Robo Penguin on a black jersey without stripes on it. I don't care what people say, I like Robo Penguin, and seeing it on black is the cherry on the ice cream sundae. This is another whole point and gets an awesome from me. Carolina Hurricanes. The Canes made a good decision and honored the Whalers with their first reverse retro. The gray looks okay, though it would have been neat to see them reference the blue Whalers jerseys, especially since the team wears the green jerseys for their heritage nights. I'll still give it 1 whole point as I have a soft spot for the Whalers jerseys. Too bad I can't say the same for their second reverse retro jersey. They took their road jersey, the worst and lamest jersey in their history, and made a red version. It's as if Adidas forgot to do a Canes jersey and made this at the last second. Yeah, it's reverse, but it's neither retro nor based in anything good or nostalgic. Easily a 0. Thanks to that lazy jersey, the Canes get a rating of meh. Columbus Blue Jackets. For their first reverse retro, the Blue Jackets took their original jerseys and changed the main color to red from their color scheme, and I guess to a lesser extent references their Ohio predecessors, the Cleveland Barons. It's alright, and I dig how this looks on the ice, earning 1 whole point. Their second reverse retro, the Blue Jackets introduced black as the main jersey color, whereas before it was used for highlights. It's got their original styling but sports their current logo. It looks okay, but this doesn't do anything for me. I'm not going to give this any points, and the Blue Jackets overall get a rating of meh. Washington Capitals. The Caps brought back their underrated Screaming Eagle jersey for both reverse retros. Their first one takes the Screaming Eagle and colors it in their current color scheme, and this just looks beautiful. It's stunning and gets 1 whole point easily. During the era of the Screaming Eagle, the Caps had a black alternate, but it sported the Capitol Dome instead. Well, now we've got the Screaming Eagle in black, and it looks slick. Another W and another whole point, giving the Caps an overall awesome rating. Boston Bruins. From 1967 to 1995, the Bruins did not have a yellow jersey in their lineup. For their first reverse retro, Boston took their uniform style from the 80s and early 90s and made a yellow version of it. It looks good and I like it, easily earning 1 whole point. Their second reverse retro brings back the ever-divisive Pooh Bear logo, except this time it's on a white jersey, which I guess helps alleviate some of the Winnie the Pooh characteristics, even if the logo isn't that threatening and still resembles my K-Zone. But still, it at least looks good and I'll give them a whole point, especially after seeing people say that the Pooh Bear jersey gets too much hate. And with that, the Bruins' overall endeavor has been awesome. Detroit Red Wings. Oh dear, get ready for pain. This first reverse retro jersey still sucks and resembles a practice jersey. I've never seen such a boring attempt to call back to a team's heritage. This thing is wretched. No surprise, 0 points. Now for the second reverse retro jersey. I'll give Adidas some credit that unlike the Blackhawks second reverse retro, there actually did exist a jersey that said Detroit across the body, specifically from 1927 to 1930, back when Detroit started life as the Cougars, before changing their name to the Falcons in 1930, followed by changing to Red Wings in 1932. And while I like the combination of red and black on this jersey, it just bores me. I would say that this looks like a sweater that your grandma knitted for you, but that's an insult to grandmas everywhere. Why reference this jersey? Why not the old English D from 1926? I liked it when they brought that jersey back for the 2009 Winter Classic, but for some reason they didn't bring that back here. This receives no points either, and the Red Wings are our second failure. Toronto Maple Leafs. When you've got only 2 colors and not much variation in your uniforms for your entire existence, you have to get creative. The Leafs, for their first reverse retro jersey, combined the styling of their 1970 to 1972 uniforms and matched it with the 1967 to 1970 version of the logo. It makes for a good alternative timeline. Like, what if the Leafs didn't change to the simpler looking leaf? This is kind of neat, and I like having the numbers be blue with white outlining to help them make this distinct among the Leafs uniform lineup. This is 1 whole point for me. Comparatively, I feel that they dropped the ball on the second reverse retro jersey to honor their 1962 to 1963 1963 Stanley Cup championship, and to help mask how they haven't won it all since the 60s, the Leafs took their look from that season and threw white on top. That's it. Of all the things you could have done involving their arena's T logo, the St. Pat's jerseys, or even tons of stripage from the early 30s, they chose this. It's not a bad jersey, but this comes off as not having much creative thought behind it. I'm not giving this a point, as there's frankly other throwback jerseys that fit better than this. So sorry Leafs fans, but your total score results in a meh, like your playoff performance. Montreal Canadiens. For the first time in franchise history, as part of their first reverse retro, the Habs gave us a blue jersey with a red stripe going around the body. Officially, this is meant to be styled after their 1977 uniforms, but much like their nemesis, the Leafs, it's not too different compared to any other point in time. I love the shade of blue used, and it gets 1 whole point from me. Their second reverse retro jersey is definitely one of my favorites, as it is powder blue and honors the Expos. The Habs have done a great job honoring the Expos ever since they moved to Washington, D.C. after the 2004 season, from adopting Youppi to the Expos banner at the Bell Center, and honoring Gary Carter after his unfortunate passing in 2012, among other things. Anakin Slade can attest to it. Yeah, it gets a whole point, and Montreal overall is awesome. Buffalo Sabres. We've got both jerseys referencing the same era here, with the first reverse retro taking the Sabres 2000 to 2006 alternate jersey and coloring it in their classic and current royal blue and yellow color scheme, albeit the jersey is white with blue and yellow highlights. It looks great, and it's cool seeing how this era of Sabres uniform would have looked if the team hadn't changed to black and red in the mid-90s, earning Buffalo 1 whole point. Their second reverse retro continues the trend by taking the Iron Goat jersey and, once again, making it white with their royal blue and yellow highlights. It looks great and easily another whole point, giving Buffalo an overall rating of awesome. Ottawa Senators. For their first reverse retro, the Sens went back to their inaugural season, took their black jersey, and reversed the black and red, giving us a red jersey. It looks pretty cool and is another cool what if. Love it and gets 1 whole point from me. Their second one is an interesting fusion. We have the styling of their alternate introduced in 1997 while maintaining their classic and current logo. The body stripe is black and matches the rest of the jersey with the red lines remaining, and red armbands instead of black armbands with white cuffs. I think it works well and gets 1 whole point, giving Ottawa an overall rating of awesome. Tampa Bay Lightning. The Bolts, for their first reverse retro, take us back to 2004 when they won their first cup against the Flames. We've got their jersey styling from that time period and made a blue version like the team is now, and it looks nice. To be honest, it makes you wonder why this didn't already exist. This jersey earns 1 whole point from me. Their second reverse retro brings back the ever despised 1996 to 1999 alternate and colors it white. To be honest, I always liked how this jersey style looks regardless of how cheesy it is, but that's where the charm comes in. And even in white instead of the original blue, the charm still comes through, earning another whole point from me. Overall, Tampa earns an overall awesome rating. Florida Panthers. And finally, our recent Stanley Cup runner-up. In terms of their first reverse retro, it's basically the same as their navy blue jersey that they had from 1998 to 2007 before it was retooled for Reebok Edge. The only real difference from those originals is the bottom trim and the cuffs, as well as some color shades. I'm gonna steal a point made by the hockey guy, but the Panthers were basically doing reverse retro before reverse retro. It definitely earns 1 whole point from me. What helps is that the Panthers have had more dramatic uniform changes than that of the Islanders or Flyers. Now, their second reverse retro has been deemed as one of, if not the best reverse retro that Adidas has ever made. I'd be lying if I didn't think it was good. Like the Habs, we've got powder blue, which I'm surprised works as well on a hockey jersey as much as it does. This also sports Florida's palm tree alternate logo, a first for the franchise, and to top it off, you've got the Panthers shades of red and navy blue as the trim. Definitely earns another whole point. And obviously we end this ranking with one last awesome ranking. It's a shame that reverse retro is ending, because it's a fantastic idea through and through. Yeah, some teams might not realize its fullest potential, but that's why you keep trying. And with only 2 teams out of 32 failing twice, that's gotta say something. This gave us uniforms that would otherwise have only existed in our imaginations and photoshops, and I have to congratulate Adidas on that. God help us when the fanatics Addicts era begins. So like always, be sure to leave a comment, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all later.